Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Hello and welcome to the latest episode. It is Tuesday, the 19th of August, 2025, and it is mid-afternoon because I am determined not to do my episodes really, really late at night. So I thought, no, do it this afternoon, and then I can have a more or less stressful evening, put it that way, just in case anything goes wrong, because I have a slight problem with my electrics at home at the moment, and the main fuse keeps tripping, and then the entire building goes dark. It's all very random, and it's only started recently, and I borrowed a vacuum cleaner, and it's only started since that's happened. So somebody in the system is very unhappy somewhere, and it's a bit of a mystery because some things work absolutely fine, and then you'll switch something on and the entire system goes. So apparently I'm supposed to unplug every single appliance and then plug everything in one by one and go around and check it. But if you're anything like me and you've got quite a lot of appliances all over the place, that's going to take me ages. So at the moment, I'm just sticking my head in the sand and ignoring it and just getting some candles out if it blows in the evening. So the dog had a bath this morning, and unfortunately we couldn't dry her hair because all the fuses tripped when the hairdryer went off. So I thought, I know, I'll go and use just a heater that blows hot air out. Well, actually it's the same wattage, so that blew the system as well. So she had to be encased in towels and then hugged until she dried and went all fluffy. But it doesn't bode well for when I have a shower and I need to dry my hair. Anyway, so I did think last episode, that was Fridays, I did feel like it was a really long one. And I'd left, what I thought I'd done was leave a marker in the software that I use to upload the podcasts so that I would know when I'd got to 20 minutes. And I clearly hadn't done that. So it kind of kicked in at 30 minutes. So it was a really, really long episode. So well done for getting all the way through that, because they're not normally that long. Now, the good news is that the fat hose was a great success on Saturday. We went and filled up the van with water, and we took it to the plot and we connected up the fat hose from the pump to IBC1, and it worked extremely well. But it didn't, unfortunately, save us any time. For some reason, it took the same amount of time to pump the water out of the back of the van to the IBC as it does to carry it up in buckets. So it's definitely an energy saving feature, but it is not a time saving one, which is a shame. And it also didn't kink. So thank goodness, because it was my choice of hose pipe. So if it had gone wrong, I would have been in trouble. We also got the fence panels up around the area that Nigel, the turf lifting man, did for me a few months ago. So we had to put up 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 fence panels, and they were all in sort of various areas around the plot. So they needed moving over into position and then tying up, and they will actually have cable ties on them. That reminds me, I just put baler twine around. I need to go and do that. And then we also laid this roll of chicken wire around the base. Now the holes were a little bit bigger than I thought I'd purchase, because it turns out 50 millimeters when you're shopping online does not look the same as 50 millimeters in real life, but it's certainly going to be enough to keep, well, God willing, to keep any predators like foxes or rabbits from digging under the fence. So that was great. And now I just have to rejuvenate all of the soil that's in there. So it did reseed itself with thistles. So they grew, in fact, not reseed it, because it turns out I thought thistles just like grew from this masses of fluffy white seed that just blows all over the place. But it turns out when I was pulling them up, that there's like this huge long taproot, a bit like a nettle root, that's kind of spread all over the field, and all of the new thistles are coming up from these roots. So that was an interesting one. So just because I've got rid of this batch doesn't mean that there isn't another batch coming up, because I didn't dig over, because I'm doing a no-till thing. And so I'm not disturbing the soil at all. Now there is some grass that's come back up, which I need to go and get out, but I'll just have to dig that up by hand. And I've got some chicken manure in shavings. Well, it's basically the floor of the hen house. The content of that is all going to come out and be laid on the field. And then I've also got some packets of green manure that I'm going to sow. So I need to get on with that, but I'm waiting for the weather to change so that it cools down and we have a bit more rain before I do that, or everything's just going to sit on the surface. Now, Dolores has been to the vet. So if you listen to Friday's episode, you know that Dolores, one of my little call ducks, is a poorly girl and she didn't get any better over the weekend. So she has been to the vet. He thinks she's got pneumonia. So she's had a shot of longer acting antibiotic and we just kind of wait and see. Now, the vet isn't very hopeful, but if you're a regular listener and you lived through all the dramas about Goose's bottom, you will know that my vet normally takes one look at all the chickens and goes, yeah, it's not going to make it, sorry. And I say, no, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. So that's what he's done today. And fingers crossed, she will make a recovery, but you never know. You just don't know. Anyway, I was telling him about Goose, who had this bum lift because Momo took a hole out of her bottom. And he couldn't believe it that not only has Goose made a full recovery and come back into lay, but she's also now a mum. She's not actually doing the mum duties because she's not a broody lady at all. Shirley's doing it. So one of Shirley's babies is actually one of Goose's eggs. So that's all good. And I've had an inquiry to help a local florist grower, which I'm very excited to do. That was most unexpected, actually. And she's a really fantastic lady. I've met her and she gave me some tips when I was starting out last year. And she does the most astonishingly beautiful bouquets. Like, I'm totally in awe of what she does. And she sells them locally and she grows. Anyway, she just needs some additional stems for a little wedding that she's got, not a little, a wedding that she's got going on in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm going to quote for that and see if I can help her with anything because I would love to supply her. I've also been finalising the Flower Stem Festival availability list, and that's pretty much sorted out. But actually, that reminds me, I need to speak to her this afternoon, the organizer of that as well. So that's that. And I'm looking forward to going to the flower festival. It should be really great. I've put a post on my Instagram at Hen Hill Cut Flowers. And if you're local to Marlow, you might be something that you want to pop along and have a look at over the weekend. That's the last weekend in August. Now, the dahlias, my dahlias are absolutely incredible. And I know everybody's dahlias are incredible, but I'm very, very proud of mine because I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And so much work and effort has gone into them, and they are just absolutely stunning. The only thing is that they seem to be a bit big now because I'm having inquiries from people about dahlias and they just want smaller ones, and mine are absolutely enormous. They're not the giant dinner plates, and in fact, they're probably not as big as Cafe au lait, but they are really quite enormous and very dramatic. And obviously, I've got all the wrong colours because I didn't choose them. I was gifted them by my mentor, Richard Bailey. And so now people are saying to me, oh, yeah, I don't want pinks and yellows, and I don't want this colour, and I don't want that colour. And I'm thinking, well, that's all I've got. So, lesson learnt there, but at least I am practicing growing them, and hopefully I will be able to sell some of them because they really haven't even got completely going yet. They were late getting started because I didn't water them as much as I could have done if I was on the mains, for example. And I haven't done the foliar feeds and all the amendments and complicated stuff that Richard Bailey does, and they're doing fine. And the reason I didn't is because I know that my soil is really great and it's packed full of nutrients already, and I didn't want to just overload it. And I also don't use any synthetic fertilizers up there. It's just a personal preference. I've got organic liquid seaweed, but I don't want to be putting Miracle Grow. And I don't have a problem with anyone else doing it. It's just the way that I wanted to run the plot. I'm actually thinking about entering a few of them in a local show at the end of August, which will be quite nerve-wracking, but also quite fun. And I feel like if we don't support these classes at the shows, they're just going to stop, and that would be a terrible shame. And then who is going to be doing dahlias in the future? The Flower Hub launch has been postponed, which is really disappointing because I was so excited about it. But hopefully that will be going ahead in September, which is great. And the deadheading continues up at the plot. So back on the cornflowers again, which I have learnt in the last few days are known as bachelor buttons in the USA, and I had no idea. So I've been deadheading those, and I've still got blue ones and white ones, and also deadheading the heleniums, the snaps, the cosmos, the scabious. Now, the scabious are such good value for money because the seed head from them is really, really pretty. And I'm hoping to sell them in the autumn or the winter for arrangements, dried flower arrangements. And the unsold sweet peas, I've left them to go to seed, and I will just harvest all the seed. So that's one less thing to buy next year. Now, I closed out the last episode saying that I was going off to do some reading because I bought 2 books from American flower growers on cut flower farming as a business, thinking about it more from a businessy side of point of view. And so I took one of them to bed on Friday night, and I've poured over one of them. Lenny Larkin's book, Flower Farming for Profit, is the one that I just started off with because that's the one I opened the envelope on first. And it's absolutely incredible. And there is so much material in there that I started the first couple of chapters, and then I thought this is going to take ages and I really just want to dive in. So I kept picking different chapters and different pages and jumping around all over the place. And really, what I want to go and do is buy a notepad and just go through it like a school book and just make notes on everything, because the way my brain works is if I write it down and I see it written down, I remember it rather than just reading the information and it kind of passes out of one side of my brain to the other. But I have learnt so much just skimming through this book over the weekend. It's been incredibly eye-opening, and it explains so much. And now I understand where I've been going wrong. And there is, yeah, just absolutely masses of information in there, 99% which I haven't been doing. So let me give you some examples of what I have not been doing. So I have no mission statement, no personal business or sales goals, although I do have environmental goals. So things like having a closed system so nothing comes in and nothing goes out apart from the stems. So I compost all the material and I'm not going to be bringing anything in. And I don't use any synthetic fertilizers. There's no plastic on the ground, so no tarps, no sheets, nothing on the ground whatsoever. And they're just principles that I just decided at the very beginning that I was going to stick to. And no matter how difficult it is, that's how I'm sticking to it, because it's more important to me that the biodiversity on the plot is right up there. It's for me, it's not about just eliminating everything and covering all the soil with plastic. And I'm not passing comment on anybody that wants to do anything differently. And that is why I will never end up, with a really intensively grown, fantastic looking plot, because I'm just not prepared to put all this plastic down. Now, I know you don't have to do that to have an amazing plot anyway. I'm just saying it's just something I didn't want to do. I have no clear idea of my projected net profit or gross revenue. No numbers for how many stems I needed to sell and therefore how many I needed to grow per week at the start of the year. Not enough market research by far, and no competitor research either. I've chosen a really difficult sales channel, which is high-end wedding and event florists. I'm not quite sure which bit of my brain decided that, but that's what I was sticking with, and it is always what I've wanted to do, but I couldn't exactly tell you why. And it has been very challenging because they are naturally high end. They are very fussy, very particular about what they want, rather, not fussy, particular. And although they may not have committed a particular flower type to a bride, they will have done a color scheme and a mood board and included the kinds of images that are going to fit with that bride's vision. And they're not going to deviate from that. So if they pitched in that they want like David Austin roses, you're not going to be able to fob them off with some cornflowers. It's just not going to work like that. So I have made things a little bit more challenging, a whole load more challenging by choosing that sales channel. I've got no strategy for engaging with florists. You will have learnt that if you've been listening regularly as well. Pretty much no value proposition for my target customer. No projections for profit, annual gross sales, weekly sales, no crop planning, although I did have a seed sowing schedule based on like successional sowing, and I followed that religiously. So I guess if I do all the charts and I write everything down and tick it all off, I can do it. And that is one thing that I did do at the beginning of the year. No idea on pricing. Well, you'll be sick and tired of me saying that. You will know that already. No idea of infrastructure costs or admin costs, but I am doing cost of production analysis and recording how much time I spend on the individual crops doing stuff. So I will have a lot of data to analyze at the end of the year. So going into next year, I will be a lot more informed about what I'm doing. And I've been recording how many plants I'm growing per square meter, and also therefore the yields from that. I have no profit and loss sheet, and I'm not using plugs yet. So this is an interesting thing that I've picked up actually over the weekend, not just from this book, but online as well, about the number of growers who don't start from seed, they start with plugs. And I always kind of thought that was cheating. And I'm not casting aspersions on anybody, but I just thought, well, isn't everybody growing from seed? Turns out they're not. They're just buying in, not just, they are buying in plugs, and they put the plugs in the ground and off they go. And it saves an enormous amount of hoo ha. So I don't know. I still have to think about how I feel about that, because although I'm not buying organic seed, I just kind of felt like if you've got the seed and then you grow it how you want to based on your policies and ethics, then it's different from buying a plug, which may have been treated in a whole load of different ways. And then you're going to have compost on the roots. So I'll be importing compost. But you know what? Maybe I'm going to have to give that some serious thought. I still have not mastered how to do a hand tie, although I can do the one where you just cross the stems over at 90 degrees and kind of build it that way. I have kind of got the hang of that, but I definitely cannot wrap anything yet. I mean, I can't tell you the tears I've had over that. Bought a roll of paper, brown paper, and I've been practicing so much and I absolutely can't do it. So in the end, I thought, maybe somebody makes paper sleeves on the internet, but all I can find so far is these sleeves, which are brown paper at the back and clear plastic at the front, which is absolutely not okay. So I need to go on a hunt for 100% paper sleeves, and maybe that'll be the answer to my problem. Or if I just stick to the wholesale sales channel business model, I don't need to worry about putting them in sleeves. Anyway, I have not been recording waste stems. Now, this is really interesting, and I'm very cross about this because this, not having this data is going to impact my yield figures. So, actually, the yield that I calculate is not going to be accurate. It's just going to be the number of stems that I've sold, which is not the same as yield per square meter. So, I'm really, really quite cross about that. And I don't think there's any point starting it now because it will skew all of the figures. So I just have to forget about that for this year and remember to do it next year. I have not been managing a team unless you count my other half, and he does not appreciate being managed or any kind of a suggestion that I'm managing him. I did promote him to estate manager over the weekend, but I mean, kind of counts for diddly squat in probably in his books and certainly mine. Because I mean, honestly, I couldn't do what I do without him. He's just like the most kind and helpful person you could ever imagine. And when we're not having battles over stuff, we get on and we get things done. So I wouldn't say that I'm managing a team because he kind of does his own thing and he's very, very good at it. I have not created my ideal customer avatar. Apparently, this is the thing. You need to think about who your ideal customer is and what they look like and how old they are and where they shop and how many children they have and what their hair color is and all of these features of this person so that you can 100% sell to them. So I haven't done that either. There's no marketing budget. I have not defined my story yet. It's one of those things, it's in my head all the time. I know what I'm doing. Well, I don't know what I'm doing, but you know what I mean? I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I know the backstory to the plot and the way I grow and everything else, but I don't think I have told anybody that. So that was a really big thing that I learnt from reading this book. If I'm not conveying that message, then where is the value in the product? So, yeah, really need to sort that out. Definitely have not started an email list. Absolutely not. And I haven't been collecting any reviews or testimonials either, although I think I reposted something on social media, but that is not exactly a proper strategy for doing that. And talking of strategies, there's no growth strategy either. So, as you can see from that list, I had a bit of a shock this weekend, and there is absolutely masses of things to go back through and study and look at. It's on the one hand like really reassuring because I have spent the last 8 months just thinking that I'm an idiot and just why can't I do this? Like, what is going on? Now I've read the book and I'm like, oh, okay. So if I learn all of this, I will have a better understanding of what I'm doing. I may be able to give it a better, more successful shot in 2026. It's not that I'm stupid or an idiot or anything. I don't know, maybe I'm stupid or idiotic for not actually thinking that there would be more to this than just growing cut flowers. So yeah, I did make that silly assumption. But I definitely feel a lot more confident because I think now that I've really got something to get my teeth into, I can work my way through every single sentence in this book and make sure I've got it covered so that I can actually feel really confident standing up in front of people saying, this is what I do, and this is the story behind it, and this is why my blooms are so amazing, and this is how much they cost, factoring in all of the costs which I hadn't even begun to think about, like infrastructure and admin and oh my goodness, there's just so much. So I've got to get a handle on it, and there's a lot to be done, but I think it will be extremely beneficial. And I haven't even started the other book, which is called The Cut Flower Handbook by Lisa Mason Ziegler. So there's a whole other book to get through as well. So there's plenty to be getting on with, both at home and on the plot. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So I do hope you come back and join me on Friday when I will have some more news to update you with. Hopefully, good news about Dolores as well. So please cross your fingers for little Dolores. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. I wish you all the very best, and I'm sending you a very cheery wave. And I'll catch up with you on Friday.